Hello guys, what's going on? My name is of course Josh. Welcome to another video on the JT12's RC Videos channel. Sticking with this little theme we've got going along at the moment, and that is looking at these little cheap items that you can get for reasonable prices at HobbyKing that in my opinion are great RC gadgets and they're must-haves for Nitro RC enthusiasts. So today we're going to be taking a look at this temperature controller. You might be thinking, well, what the hell is that? Is this something, do we have an oven? No, actually this is a little heating system that you can use for a load of uses in the RC hobby. For example, heating up a Nitro engine, or if you have a Transmitter Mitt, that is a little glove thing that goes over your RC transmitters. You could pop one of these inside so that you don't get cold hands whilst flying your RC cars. So, just on a side note, this is actually the second one we had because the first one I received was no good from HobbyKing. A little bit disappointing. However, their returns process, well actually I didn't have to return it, but their replacement process was very quick and easy, so thumbs up for the service there from HobbyKing. Thanks very much for this replacement. Hopefully when I get this one out of the box in a minute, on take 2 of recording this video, this one will be better than the first one. Okay, so here's the box for it. HobbyKing temperature controller. Let's just take a quick look at the specifications. These are pretty important. It's stuff that I was going to cover anyway. Okay, so you can see input 7.4 volt to 12 volt. Okay, so 7.4 volt is equivalent to a 2-cell LiPo battery. So if you've got a 7.4 volt LiPo, then you can use this to power this temperature controller up to 12 volt. Okay, so for example, if you have a car battery or an old motorcycle battery, something like that laying around, anything that kicks out, anything up to 12 volts, you can use this to power it. 30 to 80 degrees Celsius. Okay, so this thing actually will heat up or heats up to 80 degrees from 30 degrees, and you can adjust it because this is a temperature controller, so it does have adjustable temperature. Quick adjustable voltage. Okay, that's basically what it means. The more voltage, the more power going through, the more temperature. Small and lightweight, so it's 80 grams. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. Certainly the box itself is very light, so the product inside sure is going to be. And finally, it's got a relay switch operation, so you can actually switch this thing off without disconnecting the battery. So on the side there's nothing, on the back there's nothing, and on the underneath there's nothing, apart from it's made in China. Of course it is, but then again I wouldn't expect anything else for the price. Okay, so let's open up the box now and take a look. Okay, so it's presented to us in this little packet there. Let's lift this part out, see what we have underneath. Okay, so lifting this part out, this part looks like the actual temperature controller itself. If we just zoom in a little bit, just on first looks, looks quite nice. It's got this sort of aluminium casing to it. It's got like an aluminium casing. There is your temperature controller. You can see, just as it said on the box, this thing runs from 30 Celsius all the way up to 80. It's just got this knob here that you can twist. Feels quite nice. You can see you've got input power there and heater power. This one will tell you when your power's going in, this one will tell you when you're supplying power to your heating pads. Let's have a look at this connection here. So you can see it's got this kind of connector on the end. This is where you connect your heating pads, and on this end it's got these style Crocodile Clips. So depending on how you're going to actually power this thing, at the moment this has got the style clips that you would use if you were connecting it directly to a battery. However, it wouldn't be too difficult to either cut these connections off and then solder on a connector that will run directly to your LiPo, or if you wanted to, you could probably just clip these into the ends of the LiPo, but I probably wouldn't advise doing that, certainly not on a permanent basis. Okay, so let's pop that to the side. Let's see what else we have in this box. Okay, so with the controller itself removed, then these bits must be the heating pads. So if we just have a look at those, see what these look like. So they come in this plastic polythene bag, and here are the pads themselves. Now, having read reviews from previous customers online, these things apparently one of the main disadvantages with them is that you actually need to have both of them plugged in at once. So for example, I was saying, using this to heat up your Nitro engine. Whilst that sounds like a great idea, these pads are quite large, therefore you're probably only going to need one of them to wrap around the engine block. Therefore, what do you do with the other one? You can see they're both connected together by this one long, quite thin wire. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually connect this one to here. So this is how the the pads connect up to the controller itself. You just simply line up and then connect the pads just like that. So that's now connected, and then what we need to do now is provide some power to this controller, anything between 7.4 volt to 12 volt. So let's go and grab a relevant battery pack and we'll plug some power into this thing and we'll see what we can get out from it. Okay guys, so please don't hate on me too much, but I actually haven't got a suitable battery that I can run this thing off from Crocodile Clips, and it's coming on 10 o'clock at night. I don't really want to be soldering some connections onto here. So what I've done is I've simply just connected it to my battery. I've pushed the insulation down. Hopefully there shouldn't be any arcing, anything there. What I'm doing is I'm running this off a 3-cell 11.1 volt battery. So obviously this thing can handle anything from 7.4 to 12. I'm running it on 11.1 because that's a little bit closer. I think maybe 7.4 I wouldn't expect quite so much out of it, certainly not 80 degrees. Okay, so let me push the battery to the side. Obviously, as I say, I'm just doing that temporary. We'll put a proper connection on there. Okay, so if we take a zoom in here, you can see because we're providing power to it now, you're actually getting this input LED. Now if we just turn up the power, you can see it says heater. This now means, I assume, that the heating pads are heating. Let's go for 60 degrees, and what we'll do is you can feel it should be pretty instant heat actually. Yep, I can feel that right away. That is getting pretty hot actually. Wow. Okay guys, so it's been running now for a few moments. Very, very, very quick heat, and these are, I can barely touch these things. These are running very, very warm, almost like dangerously warm. I keep sort of checking, see how my battery is, checking, see how these wires are, but nothing at all apart from the heating pads themselves. Obviously, that's what they're designed for. None of these connections are warm. Everything seems good. They would do a very, very good job at heating up the engine. Now they are on, it's switched on to 80 degrees, I don't know if you can see that. So that is pretty hot, let's face it, 80 degrees is bloody hot. Certainly if you want to heat up the engine, 80 degrees will give you a good starting temperature. If we turn it down, you can see actually once it's reached the 80 degrees, the thermostat is cut out. So this thing, as I say, is thermostat. It's not just going to keep on going. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to wrap one of these around the engine heatsink block. I'm going to see if this will heat up the engine on a Nitro engine successfully. Okay, so what I've done is I've just wrapped my heater round the engine. It's probably a little bit too large really for this application because the Velcro pads don't go far enough around, but what you'll find is actually it will wrap tightly and it will tuck in nicely. So that's just in there heating. I can feel that now this engine's gone from room temperature. Obviously this is kept indoors, so it's gone from room temperature to being pretty toasty warm, especially, you know, if it, like it is midwinter now, you know, if you're keeping your cars outside or you want to take this with you to the field, this will help you get your engine started a lot quicker than if this was at, you know, the -1 temperatures or whatever that we're experiencing at the moment. One thing I don't like really is at the end of the day, what am I supposed to do with this one? Well, you know, this one's connected, but then what do I do with this one? I guess what you could do, if you were just going to be using it for this kind of application all the time, then you could of course just disconnect this thing, whether it be just cut the wires and solder the ends, or you know, or just disconnect it out of this plug. That wouldn't be difficult to do at all. That'd be easy enough to do. But for me, I'd love it if these things you could just connect one at a time. I'll have the option of having one or two. That would be a lot more useful really, especially if you're planning on using this for a few things. For obvious reasons, you're not really going to want to be disconnecting or, you know, just cutting this thing off. But apart from that, certainly for the price, certainly seems very, very nice. I mean, like I say, my engine's gone from cold to toasty warm in probably about 3 minutes. Let's face it, Nitro engines can be a pain in the arse at the best of times. If they're freezing cold, they can be even worse. So certainly this thing is going to come in handy if you're going to be starting it in the winter time. Okay, so let's start to wrap this video up now. Here you can see it's still heating there. Really impressed with it. It's probably been going about 10 minutes now. The thermostat is cutting in and out. Currently it's cut out because this obviously reached its maximum temperature of 60 degrees. My battery isn't warm at all. My battery's absolutely fine. I can't as of yet comment on how long it would last running this thing, but realistically, how long are you going to want it running for, especially if you're just heating up your engine? I'm sure LiPo battery is going to run this for 3 minutes at a time, many times. Okay, so thanks very much for watching this slightly different video. However, I'm very pleased I purchased this item. Certainly seems like a nice little RC gadget to get. I would advise you guys checking it out on HobbyKing website. If I remember, I'll post a link down in the description below. If I don't remember, then like I say, it's come from hobbyking.co.uk. You can find it yourselves on the website. Very, very easy to find stuff. Okay, thanks very much for watching, guys. And like I say, if you don't want to use it for this application, you can always use this. Pop it in a Transmitter Mitt, pop it inside your coat, pop it inside, you know, this. I can think of a ton of ways to use this little thing. I can think I reckon it come in really, really handy, not just with RC cars in this application, RC planes. You can pop it in your mitts. Also, another thing I just thought of as well is heating up LiPo batteries. Now, we all know you get more capacity out of a warmer LiPo battery than a freezing cold one. So if you're going to go to the field and you're flying or you're driving, why not pop this on a lower temperature? You wouldn't want it 80 degrees, let's say 30 degrees or so. Pop this on a lower temperature in your LiPo storage bag just before you get there, and then start running on a warm LiPo battery. Then you'll get, I think it's something like 20% more run time. So that's another thing you could use this thing for too. The only other thing I don't like about this thing is really what are the means of storing it. You know, you can see how I've just unplugged it and you've just got like this mass of tangly wires. That's another reason why I'd like to see at least one of these pads being an optional thing, but nope, they're fixed in this end. Yep, they're fixed into there, and of course they're fixed into this connector, so you've got no choice but to have both connected at once, which is a little bit impractical. Obviously depends on what application. If you're going to be using both of them all the time, then fair play to you, but for me personally, I'll only be wanting to use one at a time, and they are quite big as well. So, but apart from that, with this one concluded, definitely another worthy purchase from HobbyKing. It's a nice little gadget. As always, these little parts feel quite good quality. Again, can't really comment on the reliability of it because I haven't had it for long enough to do so. However, please check this item out, see what you think of it, and if you've experienced this thing, please check it out in the comments section down below. And of course, as usual, subscribe for more RC related videos coming soon to the YouTube channel www.youtube.com/JV12, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.